Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I'm Sorry, Do You Work Here? Pride Edition. So this happened during the Pride Festival in my city. It coincided with a friend's birthday, so we were all out on the town, looking as gay we possibly could. I'm usually dressed hippie style, long skirts and t-shirts, but I felt empowered and I was wearing a pretty risque outfit. Rainbow sneakers, cut-off shorts, rainbow nipple pasties, and a sheer pink, metallic shirt. I had glitter all over my face, hair, upper body as well. My long rainbow hair was in a high ponytail on my head. Now I'm decently curvy, stout, short, so I didn't look like a model or anything. Think dorky festival lady. Obviously not a professional attire at any rate. My friend had rented a downtown hotel room that was decently swanky. Had a very beautiful marble lobby that you had to walk through to get to the elevators in the back. We had been stopping back at the room in between bar hopping periodically throughout the night. The second or third time we returned, I was pretty drunk, that means I can be pretty loud. I was excitedly telling some story to my friends when a lady touched me on the shoulder and said, "Excuse me, do you work here?" I thought I was dreaming, I was so surprised. This is like a hotel where all of the staff are wearing black head to toe, and here am I looking like a queer rodeo clown. I actually looked down at my outfit in utter confusion, and then looked back at her and asked, "Do I look like I work here?" Without missing a beat she said, "I don't know, it's Pride, isn't it?" And then walked away. We found this hilarious and couldn't stop laughing about it for the rest of the night. The next story is titled I Don't Work Here. Well, I did, but I don't anymore. I've been a long-time lurker and just came to the realization I have a story to tell. This happened in June of this year. I worked in the intimates department of a certain department store that gives cash back. This department was my home and I quickly became the expert of that department in my store. So if anyone ever had questions, they'd ask me. If anyone ever needed help finding a specific item during one of our semi-annual sales, they'd ask me. Anyway, I've long since quit that job and this story happens in another location. I'm shopping for a wedding and am looking for shapewear to just kinda smooth things down. I used to spend a week of shifts detailing the shapewear section back at my store, and this store's intimates department was a wreck. Brands, styles, everything was mixed up. But I knew exactly what I was looking for, so I was combing through each row quickly. That's when a woman walks up and is looking through shapewear too. I'm pause and smile at her but continue combing through a row, one arm holding 3 dresses I picked out. Praying she doesn't ask me the question. Do you work here? I look up at her and answer, no. Well, I used to. But I don't anymore. We both laugh and years of habit kicks in. What are you looking for? She asks some questions about some items and I make recommendations based on what she likes and give her 3 options to consider. She's very grateful and leaves while telling me to have a wonderful day. I didn't end up finding what I was looking for, but I did have a good day after that. The next story is titled Some Lady Thought I Worked a Bar. I'm 14. So my dad, stepdad, manages 4 bars in the area and my mom works there part-time. She also works at the hospital. They are owned by a close family friend. He has a son 1 year younger than me. The 2 of us were hanging out outside one of the bars. Each of us were wearing a shirt with the name of the place that had been given to us by our parents. This lady started to approach. We were raised to be polite kids, so we step aside and open the door for her. She looks us both up and down and puts her hands on her hips and says, "Well, aren't you going to escort me to my table?" This lady was obviously like in her 50s and we were obviously teenagers. Dion, fake name, looks at me and I shrug, confused as he is. Lady puts her hands on her hips, she's tapping her foot impatiently and goes, "Well." We show her inside and we find an open table and we sit her down. We start to leave, trying not to laugh and fully prepared to go find our parents to regale our story when the lady says, "Missy, I'll take a margarita." I turn back around and say, "Excuse me." She repeats herself and me and Dion look at each other again, super confused. The lady gets a ding on her cell phone as we continue to look at each other confused. She looks at it and says, "And my friend wants a Bud Light." Dion goes, "Ma'am, we can't do that." She looks very angrily at us. Why not, young man, this restaurant has very poor service. Luckily at this point my dad, who had been working behind the bar, sees us with this lady and walks up. He says, "Can I help you, ma'am?" She looks at him and says, "You need better staff if they don't know how to get a woman a margarita and a Bud Light." He blinks at her a few times confused and says, "Ma'am, I don't know if you noticed they are teenagers. It is illegal for them to be behind the bar. They don't work here, they are children of the staff." Lady looked super confused. My dad brought her the drinks and she sat there very silent and humble. The next story is titled Neighbor Kept Parking Across My Driveway, Got a Ticket. This happened decades ago when my kids, now middle-aged, were little, long before the interwebs, camera phones, etc. Sorry for any mistakes on phone. English is first language, but typos may occur. So, I was living in a rental house with a driveway, no garage, and I didn't drive myself, but I was expecting a friend over from out of town. I called the non-emergency line about people constantly parking across my driveway and was told I was entitled to 20 feet either side, and given a number to call, as I told the person I had put up signs, but people kept tearing them down. Tickets were $20, quite a good bit in those years. So came the day my friend was due, and someone was across my driveway. I called the number. About 2 hours later there was a banging on my door. Opened it to find entitled Neighbor, hereafter referred to as N. Brandishing ticket. Are you the person who called the cops and got me ticketed? Me. Pointing to car. That your car? N. Yes. Me. Yes, I'm the one. N. You could have just come over and asked me to move. Me. Funny, I didn't see the brass name plate with your name and address. N. I live right here. Gesturing, I always park around here. Me. Yeah, I know, and you're always parking across my driveway. N. Sad face. Sputtering. This is the first time I've parked across your driveway. Me. Well, at $20 a pop, I bet it's the last time, too. She stormed off but quit parking across my driveway. For the rest of the time I lived there, the driveway was kept clear. I guess word got around. The next story is titled Regular Got Harassed by Another Customer. I work for a well-known pet store where our uniform is a blue shirt and jeans or black pants. This poor girl and her dad were at the back of the store shopping when another customer came up asking her for help. She was wearing all black and her t-shirt had the BLM first on it. She told him she was just there shopping with her dad and to find an employee. The entitled guy didn't like that and asked her to help anyways, in which she refused, telling him she didn't work for us. The entitled guy came up to my till and went on a 5-minute rant about her and how unprofessional she was before I sent him over to an actual employee who could help him. That employee just so happened to be a manager, so I guess he complained to my manager as well, because when this poor girl came to cash out, my manager came over apologizing to her and making sure she was okay. She was a good sport about it and awkwardly laughed it off with her dad as she told me what had happened with the guy, and I in turn told her what he had said to me. I also gave her an extra $5 off for the inconvenience. The next story is titled I Had the Chance to Flex My Nerd Muscles, So I Did It. So I was walking down a mall. Whenever I got time I always go to the phone department at least once to look at new phones, cause I like to see the shiny new $1,000. I would never able to afford one phone. Then I got to the Samsung one and proceed to play with the foldables because goddamn that kind of phone always intrigues me. But then I was approached by a guy who's asking me about the phones in here and was going to purchase a Galaxy A32, saying that it got 6 gigs of RAM, so it's gonna be pretty fast, it'll last a long time. Me being a nerd, I actually explained that RAM isn't a surefire way that a phone is fast, and explained a bit about processor being the key with Snapdragon better than MediaTek if you're looking at performance's standpoint. I then recommend him if he's looking to have the phone last a long time to look at the flagships. Sure, that's more expensive, but you can reliably count on it longer than these mid-ranges phone, plus you have the perks of IP68, this and that feature. Well, to my surprise he actually considered it and then went to me and said, "Okay, then I want this, points at S22, could you help me out?" To which I replied, "What?" He replied, "Well, you convinced me, so you'll help me buy this one, right?" Then it clicked on me and I said, Sorry, I'm not actually an employee here, I'm actually also browsing the phone here, haha. He went silent for a bit, then said, "Well, you'd make a pretty good salesman. I would suggest you applied for the job here, thank you for helping me choose." Then he went and I said goodbye to find the actual employee. I just realized that I also wear a blue polo shirt, so that's why he probably thought me as one of the employee. Still, it may not be a Karen type, but this is my first time being mistaken for employee, so I was pretty excited to share it here. Apologies for all the misspell or grammar if I have any. The next story is titled I Was the Proverbial Lady, but it was totally reasonable. In an LCBO, the bougie government liquor store in the province of Ontario, Canada, in my hometown. I was looking for a bottle of Amarone, generally found in the vintages section. I glanced across the store and not only saw an employee in the section, but two uni student types had just asked them a question. Perfect. I ambled over to the employee, and when I was within range, I gently asked if they knew where I could find. I do not work here, they barked abruptly, before I could finish my question. Stunned, I mumbled, oh okay, as they brusquely walked away. They seemed offended. After a moment of collecting my wits, I realized that they were just a person wearing the typical light blue button-up shirts and ironed black pants of a regular employee. What I had previously observed from afar was them telling the two young women the same thing they told me. Heck, it may have happened 3 times that day given the clothing similarity. After taking a small while for the bizarre shock to wear off, I realized it was absurd for them to not only be so rude, but also to not have a bit of a chuckle, frankly. Honest mistakes creating comedic scenarios, but apparently I had unknowingly cast aspersions on their class status. It felt like I was being punked, ultimately, given everything, especially as someone who had once been mistaken for an employee while wearing a soccer jersey, for real lol. Recently my town has received an influx of haute bourgeois commuters from Toronto. A lot of Karens and whatever the male plus non-binary equivalent of Karen is. People who've spent their whole life riding a wave of privilege to a place where they can finally feel superior to commoners. Apparently like me. The irony being that my proletarian broke at SS probably knows more about wine than them lol. The bottle of Amarone tasted relatively bitter that night, for which I resent them doubly. Anyhow. I highly recommend Amarone, by the way. A bit more intense than most wines but less sweet than port. The grapes are dried beforehand, producing a unique depth. The next story is titled I Haven't Had Your Experiences but I Love This Sub. I'm often mistaken for staff, asked for help. I'm vertically gifted, so often asked to get things from the higher shelves. I don't mind if I can help. The grocery store is somewhere I like to get in and out as quick as possible, and I've certainly had my occasions of hunting through 6 aisles just to find a staff member to help me. I also am frequently asked by strangers, "Don't I know you?" I smile and say no, I just have one of those faces, and move on. I've never had anyone be outright rude, but I do have a powerful resting idiot face. The funniest shopping one was at Aldi. They'd bring out these giant boxes of full pallet size, full of bags of fruit or veg. So this older man caught my attention as I was shopping. He wanted a watermelon, and I had to lean fully into the box as there was only 3 left. They were practically on the floor of it. I came out laughing and he was very grateful. If you know Aldi staff here, they don't help you lift or carry anything. The next story is titled I Do Work Here. This is more of a rant than anything, but here goes. I work at a cheap shop, think like a dollar store, but it's in Australia. I had to open the store last week, so I started at 6 a.m. but leave my house at 4:30 due to having to drop my daughter at my parents' so they could take her to school. I was tired is what I'm trying to say. At around 10 a.m., I was bent over a box with a box cutter in my hand, in my work shirt and standing behind a roll cage full of stock. Oh, I also had my name badge on. A lady comes up and asks me if I work there. Due to the aforementioned things, I answered in a kind of tired way, like sigh, quietly, "Yes, I do work here." She then lifts up her sunnies and tells me that she always gets the wrong person. I have a red shirt and there's a few stores that wear them, but in my mind it couldn't be more obvious that I worked there. Unless I was holding a sign. I get it all the time and it gets annoying every now and again. I'm in my work shirt with a box in my hand. What am doing here otherwise? Getting my jollies? Does this happen to others? The whole thing lasted like 2 to 3 minutes, but cause of my tired state it was more annoying than usual. It was all very polite and easy. Anyway, thanks for reading. The next story is titled Furious Determination Does Not Equal Stocking Shelves. Back when I was in college, probably about 18, I lived in my best friend's basement for a summer. I had an air mattress, and like 2 pairs of pants that sorta fit, so her mom took us shopping to Old Navy and I was determined to find pants that actually fit. I hate pants shopping. I hate it so much. My legs are this very fun shape, where my calves are normal, my thighs are huge, and my hips are slim. Don't get me wrong. THICC thighs save lives and I love mine. But I do hate trying to fit them into any pair of pants. Either they fit too tightly in the upper leg, assuming I can even get them up, or the waist is huge and my pants are constantly falling down. I have in years since decided it's a losing battle and I can take in the waist or wear a belt, but at that time I was determined to find pants that fit me. I went into that Old Navy on a mission. Now dear reader, you may be wondering what on earth this has to do with this subreddit. The answer is everything you would expect. There I was, furiously going back and forth from the changing rooms to the pants section, graciously adhering to the item limit on the rooms as I grabbed 4 different pairs, tried them, brought them back when they ultimately failed me, and put them back to take 4 more pairs. On one trip, a lady asked me where something was, like the sundresses or something, and having been in that section with my friend before I started my rampage, I probably said something like, "Oh, over there," before barreling back to the changing room. I didn't really think anything of it until my return trip, when the same woman tried to ask me something else. Whatever it had been, I didn't know the answer, so I had eloquently responded along the lines of, no clue. While looking at her like she was the crazy person, and not me the jeans rampaging adultling tearing up the shelves. I just remember her looking bewildered, and asking if I worked there. Apparently, despite my pride hoodie and paint-splattered jeans, she had saw me going back and forth with such determination and purpose, that she had assumed I was an employee stalking. We had an awkward but sweet little chuckle over the mix-up and I probably muttered something about hating pants. I know it's not exciting, and the end is a bit anticlimactic, but I never did find any pants that fit my thunder thighs. The next story is titled Sweet Lady Thought I Was in the Band. I've told several of these. I swear it's like I'm cursed to get mistaken for a worker a lot. But anyway, here is the story. My dad plays in a band. When he plays somewhere I can go, because I'm under 18, I like to go. I also help everyone set up. My dad is the drummer, so I sorta know how to put them together. I am helping everyone carry up their stuff and start setting up. My dad sets me free and tells me to go get some waters from the car because we got to the part where I don't know what I'm doing. So I run to the car and start grabbing waters. While I grabbed the waters I was humming and singing a song that was stuck in my head. After I grabbed the water I started walking back. This sweet old lady stops me and asks which instrument I played. I asked her what she meant and she smiles and said, "Well, I bet you're the singer." I ask her again what she means and she asks me, "Aren't you in the band, dear?" It was the sweetest thing. I laughed and explained to her that I was here and helping set up because my dad was in the band. She looked embarrassed and said, "I just heard you singing and saw you setting up and I figured with that voice you must be the singer." I smiled and thanked her for the compliment. I told her that was Sky, fake name, job. She still looked a little embarrassed and apologized. I told her it was fine and I was taking it as a compliment. One of my favorite IDWHL moments. This lady was just so sweet and nice. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emoji.